Hello, I'm Lesley Walker. I'm the independent chair of the Isle of Man Safeguarding Board. So I'm a completely independent of all the agencies that make up the board on the island.
And so, how does that role work? I suppose first of all, like overseeing all those different elements that ensure safeguarding on the island.
Yes, so the role of the board is to bring all of the agencies that are involved in safeguarding the government departments and others onto this independent safeguarding board. And the role of the board is to work with those agencies, bringing them together to do joined up pieces of work, but also to get assurance that agencies are working in the way that they need to and the most effective way to ensure that local citizens are safeguarded from abuse and harm. So we do a range of work with agencies. We have a number of business priorities, of which exploitation is one of our key priorities at the minute. And we work closely with the agencies in promoting where people can seek help, working protocols about how agencies need to work together. And then, as I said, my role is to hold agencies to account to make sure they deliver on what's been agreed and to make sure that we have really effective practice and that it's having a real impact for local people in keeping them safe, as I said.
So no small job then.
No.
No. So I guess as well this week in particular, we're talking about exploitation, all ages. So can you sort of explain to me what that looks like on the island and how the safeguarding board goes about tackling it?
Yes, so it's as I said, it's one of our key priorities for the board. In 2021, we actually launched an exploitation strategy. We had a big conference, and that introduced some new ways of working that focused on safeguarding children and young people as the first stage. And we developed a whole new toolkit to support staff in knowing how best to work with exploitation, and that was with all of the partner agencies round the table, taking a really sort of proactive approach. And then since then, we've been out to evaluate the impact of some of that work, to look at where we need to strengthen some of the practice and support practitioners who work daily out in the field with some very difficult situations to work alongside them to think how we can best support and improve their practice. And then since then, we've been very keen to really get a focus on exploitation in terms of adults, and particularly vulnerable adults who would be at most risk from exploiters, which are, can be individuals or a group, often organised crime, so that are deliberately targeting those that they may feel or vulnerable. So they're through either force, control, coercion, manipulation, or deceit, and for often obviously their financial advantage or power or control, and so that can have a whole range of presentations. So particularly for adults, I mean, it can involve actually organised crime, individuals taking over a person's home for criminal purposes, which is known as cuckooing for obvious reasons. They're coming in effectively to take over and use that person's address for illegal activities, whether it be storing, selling drugs, and a whole range of things. It can also be forcing vulnerable adults into modern slavery, forced labour, forced servitude, running up debt bondages. So, it can be really complex, and these are highly organised individuals, often that are targeting both our young people and vulnerable adults. Very sophisticated. Obviously, we know that our local police have been very focused on organised crime groups. The constabulary have been really, as you'll see in the media, been bringing in a number of arrests and convictions of perpetrators on the island, and focusing on ports and areas where, particularly where drugs can be brought in illegally, which just often fuels the whole aspect of criminal exploitation, which is only one form of exploitation.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, we've seen coverage of a lot of drug arrests and things recently. I think there's still a perception, maybe on the Isle of Man, that some of these bigger issues we don't necessarily have here. There's always that phrase, isn't there, that the Isle of Man's so safe. So does the board do work to try and almost like dispel that and educate the public more widely?
Yes, very much. And during this week, we have been running a number of poster campaigns to raise awareness of the issues. I can only stress it is an absolutely live issue on the island, and that people need to be very focused on picking up the signs. So the sorts of things with young people, for example, we see are young people with maybe new mobile phones or multiple mobile phones, expensive clothes and trainers. But it can also be picked up through very changes in behaviour, friendships, anxiety, secretive behaviour. So changes in behaviour, can often be misinterpreted for other reasons. And these perpetrators will deliberately try to isolate young people, and particularly vulnerable adults, from friends and family who may be a safeguard or protection in their life. So I can only emphasise that it is absolutely a very real issue with very real cases. For example, some of our training that's focused this week, the Manx Care Adult Safeguarding Team are having particular focus on work with adults in terms of helping practitioners to pick up the signs, to recognise the signs, and they're using case studies of real life cases that are happening and have happened locally to really bring that home about this is a huge reality. And recently I have been speaking to some service users of services on the island who've been speaking to me about the real life situations where they have been exploited in various ways. These are adult members. So it is a really live issue. There are very live children and young people's cases. And much of this work came in the Isle of Man because of the near death of a child. And a review occurred by a nationally renowned author that's done a lot of work around the country in this, that really brought home that exploitation was a very live issue on the island, that everybody needs to be really cognizant of, focused on being able to recognise the signs and to know, more importantly, where to get help and support.
And I guess just for my own reference, that case you're referring to, is that what fed into the exploitation report you were referring to earlier, the 2021 report?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what led to the new strategy and ways of working, and new supports. And agencies have responded in such a positive way in terms of coming together. We now have a multi-agency safeguarding hub on the island, which is the independent charity that has a very significant move forward in bringing all of the agencies together. They're sharing information, intelligence, working really closely together in a joined up way to ensure that adults and children are kept safe on the island. So that's a great initiative, because that's the only real way to tackle some of the complexities around exploitation. As I said, often run through organised crime, and therefore are skilled at finding ways to try to avoid or cover up their activities, because they're for huge financial gain for some of those individuals and organised crime groups.
Perfect. And that multi-agency safeguarding hub, or MASH, is what we'll be hearing about kind of all this week. But alongside that, you mentioned, some sort of red flags that people could look out for. If anyone's concerned, the Safeguarding Board's running a series of drop-in sessions this week, aren't you? Can you tell me a little bit about them and where people can come, and maybe why they should if they're concerned, and so on?
Yes, so there'll be a promotion of a number of events this week across the island, particularly around adults. As I said, we're trying to do a lot more promotion about awareness of adult exploitation, and there are 4 sessions happening this week, led by the various wellbeing partnership. So there's sessions in Ramsey, in Port Erin, in Derby, and in Douglas itself. And the programme of events is available on the Safeguarding Board website. So they're drop-in sessions for a couple of hours each day of the week. We've got those running. There's a big piece of work as well going on through DESC, the Department of Education, in terms of raising awareness. The Fearless campaign linked with Crime Stoppers, so really trying to engage young people in keeping their communities, their friends and their families safe. And that also involves the ability to anonymously report any concerns that they might have, and wanting to be very clear that's not about young people then being snitches, or that's about trying to really focus on ensuring that young people know where to go or to report if they have concerns, as I said, about their friends or about crime that may be having an impact on their lives. Crossroads have been doing some work in terms of working with charities that have volunteers and helping them to be able to recognise when they're working with people some of the signs and symptoms. And then we've got a range of workshops, both run by adult safeguarding team, and then our excellent health safeguarding team in Manx Care are running training sessions on exploitation. I've got 2 sessions on that. And then we've also got Children's Services in Manx Care running workshops on child exploitation, preventing victim-blaming language, which can often be a barrier to detecting exploitation. So we've got a whole range of things with, as I say, details on the website, and the police are going to be actively involved this week in messaging within the community as well. So an excellent programme. This is the second time we've run Safeguarding Week. It was our first time last year. Very, very well received. But as I said, we wanted to have a particular focus on one of the most complex areas of safeguarding, which is exploitation. And as I said, is a key priority for the partnership of all agencies that sit within the board to really raise awareness and ensure that we're detecting those risks and working to reduce harm to those individuals.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio Newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.